Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. We are taking a look at the breaking news trade tracker as we have another massive trade happening here on Saturday afternoon. It's a big one. The Philadelphia Flyers have finally let go of their captain, and this is the unofficial, probably the end, but there's still a chance he comes back in the summer. Likely the end of Claude Giroux's career in Philadelphia as he is traded to the Florida Panthers. So a pretty monumental trade here by Chuck Fletcher ahead of the trade deadline, setting the tone for what will likely be a selling deadline for the Flyers and the Panthers, making a statement, bringing in Claude Giroux. So we'll be going over that trade. So let's get into the details. Who got what for what? The Florida Panthers acquire Claude Giroux at a 50% salary retained by the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's around a little over $4 million for the remainder of this season worth of Claude Giroux. They also pick up a 2024 fifth round pick of the Philadelphia Flyers. Forward German Rupsov, who was a 2016 first round pick, and Connor Bonaman, which was a first round pick in that same 2016 draft as a defenseman. They're both 23-year-old prospects, if you want to call them that. They're semi-prospects. They spent the last 2 or 3 years now in Lehigh Valley, and it's kind of hard to think that those are really going to be. They're kind of the Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish of the Brandon Hagel trade, which is kind of interesting. So with that said, that's what the Panthers got. In a nutshell, the Philadelphia Flyers acquire a 2024 first-round pick, 2023 third-round pick, and forward, I guess he's not a prospect anymore. He's played in the NHL, forward Owen Tippett. So there's been a lot of build-up to this trade because we heard that earlier this week, Claude Giroux had played his 1,000th game with the Philadelphia Flyers, and that would end up being his last game as a member of the Flyers. Looking back to his career, it's just incredible. His first NHL season was the 2006-2007 NHL season, and his first professional hockey was at the Spectrum, not with the Flyers though. The Philadelphia Phantoms, which was the American Hockey League team that played at the Spectrum, where the Flyers played as well before they moved to Lehigh Valley. That's how long Giroux has been a member of the Flyers. Trivia. In that 2006 NHL draft, who was the GM that mispronounced Claude Giroux's name at the draft floor? Put it down in the comment section down below, and I'll announce it at the end of the video. I'll give you a hint. It's a Flyers legend. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get back into it. So Claude Giroux, like I said, 1,000 games in the NHL. The other day, 291 goals, 609 assists, 900 points. So there was, in his 1,000 games in the NHL, pretty much over that span, there was a 90% chance that he would get a point that game. That's how productive Giroux has been. His contract does end this summer. It's a pure rental deal here for the Panthers. 34-year-old forward, but he's doing quite well this season. He's on pace to have a plus 50 point season. He's got 42 points in 57 games, a plus 20, or actually no, a minus 12 with the Flyers this year. But that's because they've just been a bad team. Looking at the other players that the Panthers get here, Connor Bonaman and German Rupsov. Rupsov is a forward prospect that just hasn't really gotten it in the NHL. He's played 4 games in the NHL. It was the 2019-2020 season, and since then, he has been in Lehigh Valley. He played in the KHL through 2020-2021, put up decent numbers there, but again, nothing really impressive. Came back to Lehigh Valley this year, and he's got 6 points in 37 games, so just not really productive enough from a guy that was a first-round pick in 2016. That's just not good enough. And German Rupsov at this point looks like maybe a fourth-line power forward and a guy that's in and out of the lineup in the NHL. And that's a good thing for the Panthers as they're just looking for depth anyway. That's cheap. His contract does expire this summer. He is a restricted free agent. Same story here for Connor Bonaman. Same age, 23 years old. He was drafted in 2016 as well alongside German Rubtsov, but was picked in the 4th round. And funny enough, he's actually played more games in the NHL. 54 games in the NHL for him. He's got a goal and 2 assists, but has spent most of his time in the pros at Lehigh Valley in the AHL level. He's got 11 points this year in 41 games with the Phantoms. So that's what you're looking at there. Just a depth forward, a depth defenseman, and obviously Claude Giroux, who is probably going to play on that top line. That is a really nice addition to an already stacked Panthers team. And what you're looking at with the Panthers, a lot of you would say, well, the Panthers are already stacked. Why do they need another forward there? Well, the thing about Giroux is he's a guy that, if you ask most Flyers fans, he wasn't the best faceoff guy, but he can win faceoffs. And if you're looking for a guy, 3rd period, 36 seconds left in the game, a faceoff in your own zone, would you rather have Jonathan Huberdeau take that faceoff, or would you rather have Claude Giroux? And I think the answer is pretty simple there, right? In the final minute, you're going to have Claude Giroux out there. So let's say Barkov, right, gets kicked out of the faceoff circle. You could throw in Giroux and be fairly confident he will win you that draw. So he's not your number 1 center, but if you need him to as a winger, but he can play center and win a faceoff, that's where he fits in really nicely. And I think that's going to be just a great punch to an already stacked forward group there in Florida. And they're going for it. This move and the Ben Chiarot trade, they've sold off a lot. They've traded 2 first-round picks, a couple third-round picks. They've traded a lot of capital here. And this is just something that's part of the course. They've been at the top of the Atlantic Division throughout the entire season. They've been ahead of teams that you would consider should be better than them in Tampa and Toronto. They've been at the top of the division the entire year. This is the Panthers' chance here to try and win a Stanley Cup. And they see a window here where Claude Giroux fits in. Claude Giroux would really, that's the only team he wanted to go to. And that was the only team at the end of the day he would move his no-trade clause for. And the Flyers did him the due diligence and said, you are going to go where you want to go. And they were able to make that deal work, which I think is just a really nice way to send him off. If there's any way to make this less painful for the Flyers fans out there, this is going to be weird. The next game they play at Wells Fargo Center, hell, even on the road, it's going to be weird seeing them without their captain, Giroux, on the ice. And just, it's going to be a little bit interesting how this locker room kind of adjusts that. Who's going to be the new leaders there in Philadelphia after this season? There's going to be a lot of change there. And this was the first move to do that for them. With that said, what do the Philadelphia Flyers get? What is their perspective on this? So, obviously, they get the first-round pick in 2024. It is a little bit of a ways away. I mean, you're getting a draft pick in, 3 drafts from now. So, not this draft, not next year's draft, but the year after that, 2024. That's what we're talking about here. So, there is a little bit of time here for that trade to... that draft pick could easily get traded. When you're looking at the deal, it is on a condition. So I'm looking at it right now. Let's see what we got here. So if the pick is a top 10 selection in 2024, Philadelphia will instead receive Florida's 2025 first round pick. So you're running into trouble when you start to do that, because this is 3 years from now, remember, and it could also leak into 2025, this draft pick. That is just, you're really starting to, you're starting to make deals with the devil at that point. And that is something that is slightly concerning, but the Panthers are going for it now. And it's one of those things that you have to sacrifice the future if you want to win in your cup window. And that's what they did. They also get a 3rd round pick in 2023. No conditions to that draft pick. Purely, they will get that 3rd round pick. But again, that's next year's draft. We're not even talking about this year. Now, the good thing about that is they could use that 3rd round pick. Say, let's say they package up a 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick. They could move up earlier in the 1st round if there's a certain player in particular they want. So they could use that draft capital on the draft floor table to make other moves. So it does give them that little bit of leverage there. They also pick up the guy they've been scouting now really for the past month. I remember making a video talking about that. They've been scouting Owen Tippett for at least a month or 2. And they finally get this deal done. Owen Tippett goes to the Flyers. That is the really the only piece so far, instead of a Magic Bean first or third round pick, that the Flyers actually get. The only tangible piece they get right now. He was drafted 10th overall in the 2017 NHL draft. He's 23 years old, and his contract ends this summer. He is on the final year of his entry level contract. I'm trying to think. That doesn't sound right. For some reason, I want to say he signed a 1-year deal last summer. For some reason, I want to say that, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So this would be his third contract coming up this summer. He is a restricted free agent, which gives the Flyers a little bit of leverage. I'm not sure he's eligible for an offer sheet. He has played 94 games. I don't know if he makes that cutoff yet. You look at his points in the NHL so far, he's been bouncing back and forth between the AHL and the NHL. But in his time in the big leagues, he's got 33 points in 94 games. He has spent a lot of this season in Charlotte. In 12 games, he has 18 points, which is pretty impressive. So he's been good in the American Hockey League, and he's been pretty good in the NHL. Like I said, 33 points in 94 games in the NHL. That's pretty impressive, and he's still only 23 years old. He'll be 24 next February, so they still have a lot of time with this guy. And this is the kind of guy that the Flyers are looking to get. More scoring around some of those guys. They're trying to add some scoring guys, and that's what this really is. Because right now the Flyers have a lack of goal scoring. And obviously when they trade Giroux, that hurts them in that regard, but it's a short-term thing. They pick up Owen Tippett. He's a sniper. He's a guy with a great release. He scores goals, and that's really what they're getting here. I think this is a really nice trade for the Panthers, but also I think it's a good trade for the Flyers with where they're trying to go. They knew they probably weren't going to keep Claude Giroux, and who knows? They could re-sign Claude Giroux this summer, depending on how things go. That is something that we'll find out at the end of the season stuff, but this gives Giroux a chance to chase a cup. He really wanted to go to the Panthers. He got that wish. I think this is just a great trade for both sides. If I had to choose a winner, though, I'd say the Panthers. If they win the Stanley Cup, they won this trade by far. But again, depending on how Owen Tippett turns out, this could turn out to be a really good trade for the Flyers as well. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.